Okay, Eisenberg kids, this is your reading lesson for Wednesday, May 13th. And today we're going to finish up understanding the race strategy. So we started with this yesterday, but we only did the first 3 steps in the race strategy. And so we're going to add in that last step today. So you should have a document pulled up from your assignment page that says Race Strategy Part 2, Explain or Give Examples. All right, I'm going to start up at the top. Make sure you're reading along with me. You might want to have your notebook in case you want to write down any notes. We have learned that good readers have strategies to help them answer questions in a way that is clear and complete. The race strategy I'm not sure what that there is a mistake in the document. Maybe it was supposed to say here is the race strategy that we can use. Okay. Oh, the race strategy is the strategy. That's what it's supposed to say. The race strategy is the strategy that we can use. All right. So remember the R in race stands for restate the question. And don't forget to remove those question words. The A stands for answer the question. The C stands for cite text evidence, and you can start that by saying in the text it says. And then the E, which is what we're going to focus on today, stands for explain your thinking or give examples. Some questions may ask you to explain your thinking. This is where the E in our race strategy comes in. All right, so we're going to read this passage and then we're going to have a couple of questions to answer where they ask us to explain our thinking. So whenever they ask you to explain your thinking, that's going to add an extra sentence to your written response. So yesterday we talked about that restating the question and answering go in the first sentence, that citing your evidence goes in the second sentence. So if you're asked to explain, you're going to need to add a third sentence to explain how what you cited in the text matches or fits with the question. Okay, and I'll show you how that's done when we get down to the questions. So we have a tiny little text today called First Time Driver. So we're going to read the text and then we'll answer the questions. Brad is 16 years old, and yesterday he had his first driving lesson. Back out of the driveway carefully, his dad said. Be sure you look in the mirror to make sure nobody is behind you. Brad backed the car up and turned the wheel quickly. He and his father felt the car go bump. Oh no, Brad hit the mailbox. Oh, poor Brad. All right, so now we're going to practice using our race strategy to answer the following questions, and both of these questions will ask us to explain our thinking. So that's what we're focused on today, is understanding how to do that. So question number 1 says, how do you think Brad feels at the end of the passage? Explain your thinking. So there's our clue. It says to explain. So we're going to start just like we did yesterday. First, we need to restate the question. So remember, we're going to take out the question words. I'm not going to cross them out today because we don't necessarily have to do that. But I just want you to remember the how and the do are both question words. So we will not include those in our answer. So we're going to start with, instead of you think Brad feels, since they're asking us and we're answering, we're going to change that you to I think Brad feels. So we've restated the question, and now we need to give our answer. So when I think about it, if they're asking about the very end, that's when he hit the mailbox, right? So if I had backed into a mailbox with my dad in the car and it was my first driving lesson, I would probably feel maybe a little bit scared that now I'm going to be in trouble, right? So I think Brad feels scared. All right, we've restated, we've answered it. Now we have to give our evidence. So we're going to start with, In the text, it said, and then I'm going to talk about the part where he hits the mailbox because I feel like that's what would make him feel scared. So I'm going to pick the part of the text that supports my answer. So in the text, it said, Brad hit the mailbox. Okay, so now I've cited my evidence. Now I need to do my explaining. I need to explain why or how I think Brad hitting the mailbox would make him feel scared. So I need to connect the text evidence to my answer. Okay, and I do that by explaining my thinking. So I know if I were driving with my dad and hit a mailbox, I would be scared that my dad is mad about ruining the mailbox or hurting the car. So the reason I said he'd be scared is because I think I'd be worried that my dad would be mad about the damage to either the mailbox or the car. So I explained that in my last sentence. I explained why hitting the mailbox might make Brad feel scared. All right, so let's try another one. Number 2 says, what do you think Brad's father might say to him? Explain your thinking. Now, notice how they use the word might here. So this is us using what we know about the characters in the story and then making a prediction about something else that might happen later on in the text that the author hasn't actually written. So it's sort of like making a prediction. So it says, what do you think Brad's father might say to him? Explain your thinking. So we're going to start by restating. We do that every single time, every time. All right, so my question words are what and do. So if I leave those out, so then we need to start with, instead of you think, we're going to start with I think Brad's father might say. So I took those words straight from our question. I think Brad's father might say. So I think, since it's his very first time, I think his dad might say, you need to pay better attention. So he might give him sort of a direction on how to be better next time. But then I don't really think his dad would be mad because it's his first time driving, right? So I think Brad's father might say that he should be more careful, but it's okay. I don't think his dad would really be mad. All right, so now I need to cite some text evidence. So the part of the text that showed me that I don't think his dad will be mad and that he'll just kind of correct him is the fact that it's his very first driving lesson. So that's the part of the text that I'm going to cite. So I'm going to say, in the text, it said that this is Brad's first driving lesson. So there's my text evidence, okay? So now I need to explain how Brad having his first driving lesson would prove that his dad would tell him to be more careful, but then tell him it's okay. So I'm going to say, I think when you are driving for the first time, if you made a mistake, your parents wouldn't be mad because you're new to it. Okay, So when you're first learning something, I just don't, if you make a mistake, I don't think your parents are going to get mad as long as you were trying your best, right? And it seems like Brad was doing what he could and he just made a mistake. So I made sure to put that in my explanation. All right, so today when you go to Edge Elastic, all of the questions that you're going to have to answer are going to have this explain your thinking with it. So that means on the questions where you have to explain your thinking, those answers should not be less than 3-sentence answers. Because remember, you have to restate and answer the question in sentence 1. Then you have to cite text evidence in sentence 2. And then today, your third sentence has to explain how your text evidence proves or fits with whatever you put in your answer. Okay, so explain where your idea came from and make that connection between your evidence and your answer. All right, give it a shot, guys, and try it out. And make sure you submit your Edge Elastic when you're finished.